This year was a special time for CTMI because it's our 10th anniversary. And as CTMI has been holding conferences across Africa for the last 10 years, we had something slightly different that happened, but what for me I believe was a landmark event as well. And that took place in Kampala, the capital city of Uganda. We had some 250 to 300 leaders every day meeting in the grounds of a primary school. It was school holidays there. What was very special about it is that the pastors themselves, who've been collaborating, some of them with CTMI for more than 10 years, decided that they couldn't keep, in the words of one of the brothers, Brother Okwalinga, they couldn't keep this message of the cross just for themselves. They wanted it to be heard by, if possible, every pastor in the entire nation. So what they did is that they organized at their own cost to hold this conference. They even paid for the ticket of Brother Mickey to fly to Kampala for the conference.
The most important thing we did, and even treasures to our hearts, we decided actually to give in some of our assets so that we can sell them and then to make this conference a success.
He has given us a heart to give to him because we had to sell our car in order to support the ministry of God, to spread the gospel of the cross to this nation of Uganda.
Personally, I am satisfied all the time, the expenses and the effort put to it. And I might thank all my colleagues who have participated in putting this meeting together. Above all, for Pastor Mickey and the team to come and share with us the message of the cross.
For the second time, a leaders' conference was broadcast live from the venue in Africa. But being in Kampala, things were a little different there because of the technicalities involved.
I've been to Zim, I've been to South Africa, and we can't compare Uganda to Zimbabwe or South Africa. It's very different.
We also had a few electricity problems, especially on the last day. We had cuts and unexplained cuts. Because the messages were in English and Swahili, Sister Audrey took on the gigantic task, in my opinion, of typing up the notes in English and translating in French simultaneously so that the French people listening could also benefit from the conference.
We were there for the Lord, we were there for the service, and it went well.
Despite the fact that clearly it was a conference organized by the churches and the pastors working with CTMI in Uganda, one needs to understand that for many of the people in the region, traveling 300 or 500 or even 1,000 kilometers to come and listen, such as their thirst to hear the preaching of the cross, is not a big deal. So as a result of that, we had 6 of the countries from the region, people represented from those countries.
Previously, though I've been in the gospel, I was that authoritative man where my words are final. But since I heard the word, the message yesterday, my inner heart began to change. And one of the signs is when I went home, I was happy that I hugged my wife and she could not believe that sincerely I loved her.
I am now ready to follow that way of cross, just like Jesus did, show me the example.
I have been challenged in many areas as a leader and as a pastor, especially to continue putting my life on the altar. You know, there are times when you think you are done, but every time you hear the message like this, then you realize you're not yet done. So as Mickey was sharing, especially yesterday, putting our lives on the altar, I realized I need to give my life more and more.
Before that, the message of carrying the cross, I couldn't. When somebody told me something, I want to make sure that I'm right. But according to what Mick have said, through the message of the cross, I've discovered the more you are saying that you are right, it's not actually winning. So the message of the cross is giving me to be humble as a leader. From today and onwards, I say I'll stand with Mick. At least I'm convinced that I have to join, that ministry, because I know once you are coming closer to the Lord, and with this message of the cross, you never remain the same again. And I know I will tell all more pastors about Mick and about what God is doing in this conference.
Since in these 5 days, I've been transformed personally in my life, and I would love the CTMI ministry to be planted in building the life of pastors and church leaders in Southern Sudan, Juba.